Hello everybody, welcome back to Growing in the Cove. My name is Stacy and I grow in Zone 5B, Newfoundland. Well, it's now mid-July and I thought I would do a garden tour. Garden tours are one of those things that I'm never comfortable doing because my garden is never perfect. But that's it, gardens are never perfect. So that day is never gonna come when I say, okay, I'm ready to show this to the internet. So right now we're kind of at the in-between stage in terms of flowers because the early season perennials are done. Biennials are blooming right now, and then very shortly the late season perennials will start. So we're kind of at a little bit of a lull, but I still think it's worth documenting just to show you what's going on. And my vegetable garden is starting to produce, and I've got strawberries and all kinds of things. So I just thought I would show you how everything is doing, and weeds and all, and please enjoy. Thanks for watching. So first of all, I don't show this garden very much, but this is my front garden. I expanded. This used to be just originally the little strip along the deck, but now I've expanded it, I think 2 years ago. So this is a relatively new garden. I think this piece, this curvy piece, is in its 3rd year. But I really do love having this gigantic garden, although I do find it really hard to keep up on the weeding. I think one of the biggest things of note right now is this hedge of lady's mantle. I love this perennial. I'm going to be cutting it back really soon, but it is salt proof. It's great for the edge of a driveway if you're looking for a difficult area to plant. It is such a great perennial. And once I cut it back, you can see it's already regrowing from the middle. So it's just a wonderful, wonderful plant. Sorry, I'm right next to a road, so this is probably going to be a little bit loud at times. I'm just going to point out some plants of note that are blooming right now. I have some of my salvias are just starting to come out, and they are a great perennial to use for a dry area. This is called May Night, but there's so many kinds you can get, and they are bee magnets. Let's see. Right now I have a few foxgloves popping out, and this is a great time when the biennials really shine. And this is really a case for biennials because they kind of bridge the gap between the early blooming perennials and then the later blooming ones. I just love foxgloves. So I have those peppered throughout the garden. These are some of my showpiece plants in this garden, and I kind of have a river of them. These are not as old, so they're not as big, but they're heleniums. This is Sahin's early, and this is soon going to be covered in yellow and orange and red flowers, and they are stunning. I have them in groups of 3 and they look amazing. Here in the front I have my cat's pajamas nepeta, which is definitely struggling in this dry heat we're having. So I'm hoping I can get those to get a little bit bigger. And then I have some shrubs throughout. Wine and Roses Woodgelia, which is right there. Spirea. And then over here, I love these flowers. I grew all of these from seed, and they're called Maltese Cross. And they're this amazing kind of crimson color. It's a very orangey red, and they are just stunning. I have them peppered throughout the garden, and I'm actually growing more from seed. Over here I've got some yellow daisies that were given to me by a friend, and they're coming out soon. My only issue with them is that they flop really bad. Then I've got some heuchera. This is Palace Purple, a very old but reliable variety that I love for a pop of color. I've also got some peonies that are still blooming. Here I've got some Immaculée peony, and look at these. This is only in its 3rd year and it's blooming its socks off. I've got some monkshood that are coming out, and all of these trellises that you see here are gonna have climbing nasturtiums on them. So I'm hoping, I try something different, a different climber every year, so I'm hoping they will soon overtake them for some visual interest. And I've got some euphorbia. I've got some sea holly that's gonna start blooming soon. But yeah, I love this border. I absolutely love it. I did a little bit of work here this spring, so a lot of things are kind of stunted this year, but I'm hoping next year it will fill in. This is geranium Roseanne, an amazing, amazing, amazing geranium. Although my middle one is small and has been for a few years, so I don't know what's up with that. And then over here, I've got a 9-bark in here, which was transplanted last year, so that's still getting its footing. Got this amazing peony. I'm not totally sure of the name because this was planted by the last people who lived here, but I think it's Kansas. But it doesn't have a smell, which is kind of disappointing. I've got lots of sedums. This bed can be really dry, so I do try to plant pretty hardy things. I've got lots of geums, which just finished. Some brunnera. I love colored foliage. In the back, I've got foxgloves and roses and hostas. This is a shrub called euonymus, not planted by me. I've got some lilies coming out. And this is geranium Brookside, which is more upright than the other geranium Roseanne, but I really like it. Super pretty. And then I have this geum, which I have peppered throughout the garden, and it's called Mrs. Bradshaw, and actually was grown from seed. I have so much weeding to do in here, and I didn't really want to show this garden, but I figure if I don't show it, I mean, I'm never going to be happy with it, let's be honest. So, but I love how this garden has filled out. It's looking really nice. So yeah, I have a lot of work to do in here, but here's what's happening. I have a lot of herbs along here, and this is intentional that I planted them near my front door. So if we're cooking, we can just come out and snip some sage or oregano, thyme, or chives. And that has been one of the best things I've done. And here's a view of my garden here. Behind me, I have a little front window garden, which right now has heucheras that are out. I have this amazing Astrantia, also known as masterwort. I love this flower, beautiful perennial. And the stars of the show right now, these are self-seeded cup and saucer plants, or campanula. And look at this amazing purple color. I love it. And my clematis actually has the same color purple flowers. My columbine are just finished and they're going to seed. I don't even think I'm going to collect any seed because they just already go crazy all over my garden. I've got some blue veronica in here about to come out, and some lilies. So that's the front borders. So you can see my vegetable garden is behind the house. And here's a little experimental bed that I usually put cut flowers in. But this year I did it ornamental and edible plants. So I've actually got leeks planted here. Got nasturtiums in the front, some bell peppers, cilantro. These are all bush beans. As you can tell, they're very yellow, which usually indicates a nutrient deficiency. So I've been watering them and I've actually been feeding them, but I'm wondering if it's actually a dehydration issue. And I've also got a whole row of cosmos, which are beautiful flowers. And when this fills in, I think it's actually going to be really pretty. I'm hoping I can get that balance of ornamental and edible down pat to make it look attractive. The sun is really starting to come out, but I just want to show you how the vegetable garden is progressing. These little grow bags I have planted up with these beautiful, I can't wait for these to fill out, tangerine gem marigolds. I've got cosmos as well, and my hyacinth bean vine is starting to climb, and I'm hoping it's soon going to overtake my arches. Over here, this garden is kind of a hodgepodge of different things. I've got bearded iris in here. I've got hardy geraniums. This is Biocovo. It's getting cut back soon. Shasta daisies are literally just about to pop. And the foxgloves are in all their glory. Absolutely beautiful. I've got one lone delphinium blooming. We still have some allium heads. This is all going to be bee balm. And I've got some hollyhocks coming up, which are gonna look gorgeous. And I've got a lot of astilbes in here. I've also got some larkspur in the back, got some chives, and lots of dwarf goat's beard. So yeah, I'm really pleased with how this bed is looking. It's very lush and very nice. The vegetable garden is looking great. I caught a rabbit down here this morning, and I'm not sure if he was after my berries, but I've got tons of strawberries in there, and they're even spilling out over the side, so I need to get a good picking on that today. This bed really needs to be thinned, but it's producing. Garlic bed is looking great. Over here, I've got some boxes of things. Unfortunately, my cilantro is starting to bolt, and that always happens in the heat. So I may replace that with something else. Egyptian walking onions are starting to flop. This is how you grow them. These little bulbules you plant and you actually get more, and they're like a perennial onion. I've got a box of mint with a few different types. Got some cosmos there. Yeah, this is just some extra grow space for me. Green onions are doing fantastic. And I just started some green beans in here, which are starting to come up. Here's my carrot bed. I've had to reseed several times, but it is finally starting to bulk up a bit, so that's great. The whole bottom row did not germinate except for like 3 carrots, so I've reseeded again. I did use pelleted seeds this year, so maybe that was the problem. Sometimes I do have spotty germination. I love the colors on the leaves of these nasturtiums. These are the Alaska Red. I've grown them for a few years and collected the seeds. They're beautiful. This is my asparagus bed, which these tall ferny things always look so bizarre, but hopefully I'll be able to harvest a few next year. I've also got some flowers interplanted. I've got calendula coming out. I've got some pansies. I also have some poppies budded, and I'm really excited for these. These are a large double poppy. So my lettuce bed looks great. My kale is looking really good. I cover my kale to keep the cabbage moths off them because they just destroy my brassicas. I've got leftover garlic, a few flowers in here, and I've got some celery, Swiss chard, more kale, and I've got broccoli, which I'm hoping is going to produce. So it's all looking really nice in here. My greenhouse is looking really good. I'm so much further along at this point in the season than I was last year because I was actually early planting everything. So my tomato plants are looking really good. So I've actually got some tomatoes forming. Oh, there's a big spider's web. I don't know if you can see, if that will focus. There's a spider right in front of my camera. But over here, if I can scoot in, This is my gold nugget tomato, and I've got some tomatoes forming. And this variety is looking a little bit sick to me. This is Italian heirloom. Apparently it's really well reviewed, but it has the wispiest, wimpiest leaves. So I don't know. I have to see how it produces to see if I'm gonna grow it again next year, because real estate in here is very, very valuable. I've also got some chocolate cherry tomatoes that are forming. Very exciting. And I think, ooh, I've got a little one over here. This is my first black crim. So I've got a lot of heirlooms and a couple of hybrids in here this year. I've also interplanted with some basil. And I've done all of my peppers in pots this year, and they are so much healthier than when I've tried to plant them in the bed with my tomatoes. So I actually do have some jalapenos that are forming on a couple of my plants, and the rest mostly just have flowers right now, but they're looking really healthy. So I'm really happy about that. And last but not least is this very wild area of my property where I do a lot of growing down here. I've partially cultivated about half of this, and I've also kept the other half very wild, which is really good for, you know, the bird and insect population, to keep areas of your property like this. So this is my cut flower garden. So this is just for production. This isn't about being pretty. I put these nets on to help support my plants so they don't topple over in the wind or the rain or whatever. So starting here, this is all zinnias. I do need to pinch these, but they are starting to bloom. These are really easy to grow if you can get them past the seedling stage where the slugs don't eat them. I always have to replace so many every year. And then I have some branching sunflowers in the back. Got a few more sunflowers. I've got some marigolds, which are actually supposed to get really tall. And I need to pinch these back as well, but they are really pretty. That's called cocoa orange. I've got some chocolate lace flower, a few ornamental grasses, and here I'm soon gonna have some pincushion flowers blooming. This is my first year really having luck with those. And I've got some black-eyed Susan, and I've got a whole bed here of sweet williams, and they are looking fantastic. And over here is my pride and joy, and this is a whole bed of snapdragons. Can you see how many stems I have? I don't know, there must be like 300 or more. So they're going to be blooming very soon. And this is, other than foxgloves, my second favorite flower, so that's very exciting. I've got lots of wild foxgloves in bloom. This is my first favorite flower, and look at that, they are stunning. So I always let these bloom out every year before I cut them back. They just come up on their own, and I love them. And look at that, gorgeous. Here's my potato bed, and I know potatoes are forming because they're starting to flower. I've got a mix of russets and fingerlings in here, and I did hill my potatoes about a week ago. So hopefully I have good production this year. I love when it reaches the point where you can't tell where one row ends or begins because it's all getting so full. And then down here, I've got a little trellis set up, and I've got some climbing beans and bush beans. Also experimenting with having some outdoor tomatoes. So we'll see how those do. But you can see here some of my, oh, my shadow is totally in the way. My beans are starting to climb up the fencing, so that's great. And I've bottom planted with bush beans as well. Bush beans are one of our favorite crops to eat every year. So hopefully we have great bean production. Over here, I've got some sunflowers that were just extras. They're for cut flowers. And then here I've got my dahlia bed. As you can see, one side is so much further along than the other. I don't have an explanation for that, but hopefully I'm gonna have some great flowers this year. And then here is another trellising system that I have for my peas. Now my peas are not happy this year compared to other years, but they are starting to bloom, so hopefully we get some peas soon. I've bottom planted this with zucchini. Some are further along than others, as you can see. Next year, I'm gonna just transplant all of them because this one was transplanted and it did great. The rest I direct seeded, which is a great method, but the slugs kept eating them again and again. So next year, I'm not messing around with that. I'm just gonna transplant them all. Some of my sweet peas are blooming. So they are looking so pretty and they smell so good. I've got these ones as well. So that's always exciting. I've got a few tomatoes down here. Again, this is my first year really experimenting with tomatoes outside. And then this is my squash patch. So this is winter squash. This is celebration squash. I have 4. I've got 2 pumpkins. I need to get down here pollinating because I thought I had a female. Look, you can see when it has a little fruit behind it, this is a female flower. So when that opens, I will take pollen from here and stick it into this one, and that's where a pumpkin will form. This is another pumpkin. Look, another female about to come out. I've got some butternut squash, some acorn squash. So that's this area. Hopefully we have some good harvests coming out of here this year. So that concludes my garden tour for today. If you're still with me and you've hung in there, thank you. I know that was long and it's really hard for me to be concise when I'm such a long-winded person, especially about gardening. If you want to help me out, if you could like my video, and if you have anything to say, please leave a comment in the comment section below. And of course, if you want to follow along, you can always click the subscribe button and you will get notifications when I come out with new videos. Thank you again for your support, and until next time, bye.